Building Men is brought to you by Finish the Race Apparel, FTRapparel.com, the creators of all things building men, and by Become Stronger Industries, become-stronger.com, the creators of handmade steel maces, hammers, and other badass equipment. So take opportunities to express your own gratitude towards people. Don't make it just on their birthday or just on an anniversary or Father's Day or Mother's Day. Give someone a call that you care about and just be like, hey, I'm thinking about you. I just wanted to let you know that I'm really grateful to have you in my life. That 2 minutes, even if you send a text message or a voice note or whatever, can make such a huge impact on someone else's life if you take those couple minutes just to express gratitude towards other people.
You're listening to the Building Men podcast with Dennis and Anthony Morolda, brothers on a mission
to help you become the strongest version of yourself, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically.
What's up, bro?
What's up?
Happy 4th of July.
Yeah, buddy.
So I'm going to jump right in. You ready?
I guess.
Well, happy 4th of July to you and to all the listeners will be listening to this July 5th or beyond. So I'm going to get this out right away for our nation's birthday, our independence. And we're going to talk about that on the episode today. But before we do, you're going to try to figure out who the mystery guest is. We have a mystery guest that's going to join us today. I've been planning this out for quite some time now to have a mystery guest. And so you get to ask 3 questions to figure out who the mystery guest is. And they have to be yes or no questions. And so you'll ask 3 questions and the mystery guest will answer with the yes or no to let it, and then we'll try to figure it out. See if you can figure out who the guest is.
Oh my God. I should have known there was something that you were planning. You were too excited about this. All right. So am I going to get to hear their voice?
You ask a question and then they will answer yes or no. Okay. And you'll be able to hear the voice.
All right.
But yes or no questions, only 3 of them.
Have you been on the podcast before?
Mystery guest?
Yes.
Oh, is it like an automated, wow. Okay. Yes. Okay. So yes, been on the podcast. Have you been on the podcast more than once?
Good question.
Yes. All right. Okay. I have an idea of who it is. I don't know what question to ask. I have a couple. I want to really narrow this down. All right. Have you? Fuck. Hold on. All right. Have you ever had a mustache before? On the podcast?
No.
No. Shit. Did you say no? Was that no?
That was a very slight no.
It was like a child no. Oh. All right. So that was it, right?
So those are your 3 guesses. I'll let you ask another question. I'll let you ask. I don't know if I should do an open-ended question or not here. Allow that to happen. So who are you thinking right now? Who have you narrowed it down to?
Well, it's not Salemi. I'm trying to think who is a repeat guest that we've had on.
It's only a handful.
I know, and I'm trying to. Why can't I think of anybody right now who's been on with us while I was there? It had to have been. Maybe not. Okay, so maybe there was one when I was there, and both when I wasn't there. Hold on a second. Who the fuck could it be? Repeat guest. Been the podcast multiple times. Is it your son? Is it Denny? Fucking Denny.
Mystery guest, come on out.
Oh my God. Yes.
Welcome to the podcast.
What's up?
Oh,
Thank you.
I was like,
isn't that great?
That was good.
For 4th of July.
I love that.
So before we get into the episode here, because I wanted to talk about solitude, independence, that whole idea. Before we do, I wanted to do another quick activity for both of you. Neither one of you knew this was coming up. We're going to do a draft for 4th of July foods. So you're at a barbecue and you're gonna pick 4 items, and we're gonna do like a snake draft, and you get to pick an item. So whoever picks first, it'll go like 1, 2, 3, and whoever picks 3 picks 4, all the way to everybody has 4 items on a plate.
So wait, is it side dishes? Is it main dishes? Is it just
Everything.
whatever the fuck? Okay.
Yeah, just foods though that you would eat for 4th of July. So I'm gonna give you a second to think about it. This came up on Barstool Sports, and they had like 15 things, and you had to make a dish like your top 3 things. So I talked about it with the girls yesterday, and we all came up with our ideas. So I figured it would be fun. I'll take the 3rd draft pick. So I'll let we'll go in ascending numerical order. So it'll go Denny, Anthony, me again, Anthony, Denny. Like we'll sneak around, and you make your best plate with 4 picks.
Oh wow. Okay. I gotta think about this one. All right.
You feel confident?
I mean, I know my first pick, but it depends on what
Yeah.
I have to
Right.
It's yeah.
And I feel like there's a clear number 1 overall pick. I just at a barbecue, I just do, but I could be wrong as well. All right, then you're up. Who do you got?
All right, I think it's a clear burgers winner. Cheeseburgers, burgers, number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know what? I'm gonna throw a mix up, and this is probably gonna help everybody out. I'm gonna go guac and chips.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, not that they're my favorite thing in the world, but this is something that I think about during a barbecue, and it's something that I'll eat later on in the barbecue, and I'm gonna go with hot dogs.
See, it was what I would eat. That's the thing. Like, I totally get that. That's like synonymous with 4th of July. But then I haven't had a fucking hot dog. I look at those things, and they're always the ones that are left out. They're like, there's a couple people who swear by the hot dog, but I don't trust those people who's skipping over a burger to have a hot dog.
Agreed. I agree. I'm going burgers, the number 1 overall pick for me, but also I'm like, all right, hot dogs they're gonna make it into mine. All right, so then I'm gonna double down on the meat here, and I'm going with barbecue chicken.
Oh man, that's a great one. That's literally what my pick was gonna be.
All right, Anthony. So you're up. It's Snake back to you.
I feel like I'm doing a lot of side dishes here, but I'm gonna go corn.
Corn,
because I feel like that's man, my dish is looking pretty.
My God.
Corn and guac and chips. Oh God! And I'm gonna go saltine crackers.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna go with a sugar packet. All right, Dan, back to you. Denny. You get 2 picks in a row.
All right, so first one we're gonna go with fruit platter.
Oh, that's a great one.
Platter.
That's a great one, Denny.
All right. All right,
I did not realize
back to back.
Too.
So yeah, you have 2 in a row here.
So right now you have a burger and you have a fruit platter.
I have hot dogs and barbecue chicken.
And I have salt and
salt and pepper.
I'm on a fast. I choose nothing.
But here's the thing, it's pretty consistent with what I might see on your plate at a barbecue.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Are you seeing me house hot dogs left? I mean, listen, have I done that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother story. That's not for enjoyment. That's for my For You page that I fucking
All right, then back to you after fruit platter. What do you got?
All right, so I'm gonna go for a bit of an odd one here, and I don't know if this is just our 4th of July parties that always have this, but the tomato mozzarella basil.
All right,
that's an excellent one, Denny.
Yeah, I figured I needed a side in there.
I like that a lot.
All right, Anthony, to you.
All right, let's get some meat on there. You know what I mean? like I always say, let's get some meat in my mouth. I'm gonna go with the sausage and peppers. I feel like that's a strong choice.
That's a good one. All right, so now it's to me. I go back to back here. These are my final 2 picks. So I think it's important that I have some side stuff going on the plate. I'm going to do, what's the difference between macaroni salad and pasta salad? Which is the one that's like not as like mayonnaise-y? Is that macaroni salad?
No, I would say the pasta salad is the one that's more of like a refreshing kind of like.
I'm gonna go pasta salad here, and I'm not a big pasta guy, but I feel like this balances my plate off. And then, I'm torn between two here because one is like it's a staple for 4th of July, and the other one it's another supporting side thing. I don't think I need a ton of sides here. I'm gonna go watermelon.
Excellent choice.
My plate is complete. I have hot dog, barbecue chicken, pasta salad, and watermelon.
Wow. Okay.
So now, Anthony, it's to you, and then Denny gets the last pick.
So this is to finish it up. So I have chips and guac, corn, sausage and peppers. And now let me ask you something. Can I go with a kebab, like a skewer type? Now, what if I did like, could we, because I would love to do like a chicken one, but you took the barbecue chicken.
No, I'm going to say no to that.
I can't do that?
No. Because you can't take chicken from me. That would be like saying, oh, I'm going to do a burger with no bun.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have to deny you of that.
Man,
the old burger kebab.
That really sucks. Yeah.
Burger
I'm going to do a
fuck.
burger and chicken hot dog kebab. Just slap that bitch on a skewer.
Yeah, who hasn't had that at a party?
I know. I mean, dude, it's hard because I've had certain things at certain places that were like I've had clams at a 4th of July party. I'm just saying. I mean, but it depends on what people have.
Right.
I get it. All right. So we're doing like generic.
You'd be like, oh, I want a lobster tail. I just think it's like, all right, if you're going to like a regular 4th of July party,
Yeah. You know what? Oh man, this one sucks. It's a tough one. I was really banking on the kebab. What if we do oh man. All right. Sorry. I'm taking a long time here. Chips and guac, corn.
This episode is pretty much us waiting for you to say something. That's pretty much.
I'm sorry. I have the worst position because you two are doubling up and coming back to me, and I'm left with fucking nothing. And you took all the fruit already. It's not like I can't just. Denny has a fruit salad, so that takes care of every fruit known to man.
Right. But the watermelon is different because I feel like the watermelon is a standalone thing that's sliced up, right?
I get it. I know what you're doing, fucking dick. You know what? I'm just gonna take some like a cheese and cracker deal on my plate. This is terrible. It's a freaking worst dish. Actually, I really like my dish aside from the cheese and crackers. I just can't think of something.
Okay. And I think that was the worst pick of all. But
I agree. I literally, my brain is blank with fucking.
All right, Denny, last pick, Mr. Irrelevant here.
So we're gonna go with the like vanilla frosted cookies that everyone always has at 4th of July parties.
Like the one that have like it's like red, white, and blue kind of.
Yeah.
All right.
Terrible. See, like I would take my cheese over fucking those bullshit cookies.
All right, so here's everyone's plates. And what we're going to do, we're going to put this out there for a vote, and you would vote on if you have to pick one of the 3 plates. You can either pick Denny's plate, which is cheeseburger, fruit platter, tomato mozzarella basil salad, and vanilla frosted cookies. That's the totality of his plate. Anthony, chips and guac, corn, sausage and peppers, and cheese and crackers.
The cheese and crackers really fucks it up. I could have brought it home with something, but I love the 3 out of the 4, so I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
You're an independent thinker. And mine was hot dog, barbecue chicken, and then I went with pasta salad and watermelon.
Oh, that might be the winner. That's
very,
good.
Very diverse plates. There weren't any other rules other than it had to be. I mean, you couldn't make, I want filet mignon. Right. And when I saw it on Barstool Sports. They had steak as one of them. They also had ribs, but steak. I feel like steak is not a 4th of July thing. See, I don't like that. I didn't like that was an option.
Like I had London broil last night, but that's not. You have to think if you're having like over 50 people. somebody's not making fucking steak bites or
Right.
steak or
Yep.
filet mignon or some shit. That would be awesome, but nobody's doing that. You're
Agreed.
buying the 40 pack of burgers and hot dogs that are frozen, and
Yep.
then that's what you're cooking up, and chicken and sausage and pepper. I feel like those are the four
Yes.
meats that you would find. Anything
And
else
ribs,
is
it could be
damn.
like ribs could be a that's a big deal. If you have ribs at a party, like that's a next level party.
and that's it. So I think it goes, how you would judge it is if you said something, it shouldn't cause like a conversation. Like people shouldn't be talking about like, oh, this guy brought, we got ribs here. Someone
Right.
would mention that. Oh, he's making London broil.
Right.
No
That's why
one's
I
gonna talk
denied
about
the
burger.
clams. That's why, honestly, that's why I
get it.
denied the clams.
I get it.
All right. A couple things that I thought about that we didn't pick. No one said potato salad.
Yeah, that would have been a pretty good closer for mine.
Macaroni, mac and cheese.
Oh,
A regular salad. Like Tara makes a really, really good salad. So just a regular salad. What else? Beans. Like baked beans could have been one that we threw up there. That's what I had. Those were the other ones that I thought about potentially could join the fold there. But well done. I think this was a good jump into this, a lot of mystery stuff going on in this episode. Very different from thinking all the way back to the first episode of Building Men. So this is the 2-year anniversary of Building Men. 149 episodes in. This is episode 149. So Denny has been on 3 episodes. This is his 4th solo interview. Then he came along with Mike Povins and then Mike Ligori. And Anthony, guess how many episodes you've been on out of 149?
I've been on, I'm going to say like 38.
All right, it's more than that. Dan, you want to guess how many Anthony's been on?
51.
67.
Wow.
This is number 68 for you.
Nice. Damn.
So your lucky number's right around the corner.
We were so close.
Lucky number's right around the
If
corner.
we were hitting my 69 and your 2-year anniversary, we would have.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So the first episode, it came out July 1st of 2020. To me, it was significant. I wanted to get it out by July 4th. That was the date that I had set in mind when I figured out how to do a podcast. And it was like, I need to get it out by July 4th. And I beat the mark a couple days and I released The Decision and then Overcoming Fear was episodes 1 and 2. And I think back to that process and going through thinking 2 years later, I'd have the two of you on and we'd be doing a mystery guest and then create your own 4th of July magical plate in a draft. That's pretty cool. I really enjoyed that process.
I love it. I love it. See, what sucks is, I'm sure Denny can relate to this. Normally, we prep multiple days before the draft comes up, so this kind of threw me for a loop. I usually got my list. I'll cross them out. It could have been, I'm really upset with my.
Yeah, I was about to pull up like a barbecue draft list just so I was ready to go, but I was like,
I know.
I'll hold off. I'll hold off.
Yeah. It's, oh man, I'm hurting, but yeah, it is crazy how far we've come and where we are right now. And, to be able to have this conversation is nuts. And the journey that we've been on from that point to where we are now, to literally you recording in your closet and, talking like you got to stick up your ass, to now just having a conversation without a notepad in front of us it's kind of nice.
It is. And the fact that this is the first podcast that the three of us are on together. And so the difference, we're 14 years apart, Anthony, and then you're 14 years apart from Denny, and you're Denny's godfather. And the two of you have always been very close ever since the time he was really, really little when, I bestowed the honor upon you of being Denny's godfather.
Yeah.
You've always been really close.
And you literally talked to me about it. You're like, what this means, right? You're like, if I die, you need to take care of Denny. And I was like, what? Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I can't do that. He was like, well, then you can't be his godfather. So this is part of it. That was literally like one of the first things he said, rather than being like, I want you to be the godfather. Like, this is a big deal. He talked about that. And I was panicked all throughout, like for the first, like, couple
15 years of his life.
15 years of his life. Yeah. I'm just praying. I'm trying to keep you in good health for my sake.
You're like, dude, I can't even take care of my own self here. How am I going to take care of your son if you should perish in some fatal accident?
I'm slapping your hand away when you're trying to eat something that's shitty. I'm like, Dennis, you have to stay alive, damn it.
Put down the burger kebab.
Yeah, that's
Healthy.
right. The wiener kebab. I can't have a child.
But it's cool because like I've looked at you and your development, Anthony, and then watching you with Denny as well. It's been really cool, just your influence on him and who he is right now, and also athletically helping him out with sports and everything as well. It's been really cool to watch. So being in a moment here after 2 years to have you both on together at the same time, and this won't be the last time that we will do this. We'll definitely do it in the future again. It'll be pretty cool to get us into the studio at the same time. Right now we are not in the studio, but we will do that in the future. So today I wanted to talk about the idea. Anthony, I sent you a message, and I talked to you yesterday about this, Denny, was I was out in Minneapolis for 5 days doing a workshop in a school district. And so I had, getting up early in the morning. My flight was at 6 a.m. And I have a really good story about the trip home, Anthony. I didn't tell it to you. I'll tell it to you at some point, maybe before the end of the episode here. But I was out there, early flight. I'm out there by myself for 5 days, facilitating a workshop for teachers. And I went to a Twins game at Target Field, which was awesome. I bought standing room only tickets, and every inning I went and sat in a different seat to get a different viewer perspective. And I talked to the ushers just about what was going on. It was awesome. And then I saw St. Paul Saints, which is their minor league, their AAA team. So I watched them, and I had this thought about each day I would get up in the morning, and it was right on the Mississippi River, and I'd go for a walk. It was beautiful. It was really, really nice in the area. And then one day I just walked around the city of St. Paul, and I had no agenda then to just go check things out. And I had this moment thinking, I felt really at peace being by myself. It was really cool just being out there and not worrying about, not that I didn't want to be home with you, Den, or anything like that, but it was really cool to not be around any.
To not have these shitty kids running around and drive me up a wall.
But it was, how much time do we truly spend alone, especially in another area by ourselves? So I took a moment to think about the importance of being okay with being with yourself, being okay in those moments where you're not constantly stimulated or you have to participate in conversations with another person. I guess because during the podcast, I'm interviewing people and I'm talking to people every single day, asking questions. Just being alone with my thoughts for a couple of days was really, really cool.
It makes I feel like in a world that's constantly spinning and there's so much information and there's so much stuff to occupy your time, when you have that moment of silence, it's like we talked about, there's so much clarity in that, right? And you could learn to appreciate all the little things and the conversations that you wouldn't normally have, or like the walks that you have and you're noticing different trees or hearing different things as you do that, versus if you like I'll walk and have a podcast on and text and I'm thinking about my dog and I'm everywhere else, and there's 5-6 different things and I'm focused on none of them, right? Because I have so much outside noise coming in. Mm-hmm. And it makes such a difference when you do that, but it's also scary to do that because not many people feel comfortable with themselves enough to just be alone in that moment.
Dan, how about you? You ever have those moments that you're just like, I don't need any stimulation whatsoever? Or are you constantly on your phone or, listening to something or music or whatever?
Yeah, it's actually something I struggle with a lot. Like I can't do it being like alone. I always have like a YouTube video playing or music in the background. Like, I don't know. Do you have any advice for me to try to start practicing?
If I would, one thing you could try and do, which I started to do, is I would not have my music on when I would go to work out, and I would lift by myself without any music. You're not necessarily alone because you're working out at the gym and there's other people there, but that will bring you right into that moment of being with yourself, and how you're feeling in that moment. It fucks with you a lot. Like, especially if you're blasting like some crazy ass music in the background, getting you fired up, and then you don't have that, you like are in touch with how you're feeling and what your body feels like when you're moving. And it's a good way to just initiate it,
even if it's for the warm up of your workout. And so you don't have to go for an hour and a half and not listen to anything. Even if it's 10 minutes as you're stretching or getting ready. Here's the thing, because if you can't sit alone with yourself, or if you start to sit alone with yourself and your thoughts and they're all negative, there's some work to do.
Yep.
I've noticed for me, it was going for walks. Like in the morning, it just became part of what I did, and I enjoy it. And then you see when you're here, I'm up in the morning, and especially when the sun is just coming up, not listening to anything and just thinking. And it usually takes me about 10 minutes to get into where I stop thinking about just like random stuff, and then I start really thinking, and that's when I get into my creative space. Is when I am just not constantly bombarded with other people's thoughts.
That's like the application part. Like you can actually apply all the information that you've been taking in when you stop listening to all the information that you've been taking in. But normally, like for me, my biggest thing is that I continue to take in more information and I never digest it and I never make it applicable to the rest of my life because I'm just consuming all day long and it's exhausting. And so I'm like, I don't even know what I learned because I'm learning 17 different things after the next.
It's interesting that you say that. I listened to one of the podcasts I listened to is Jay Shetty on Purpose. And as I was listening to it, I don't remember the exact thing that he was talking about. It might have been about relationships. He's brilliant in that area, but he was talking about consuming. Oh, it was things that make people anxious, and it was consuming things via social media and via the news. So 2 points he made were one, and I didn't do any background check on this research. It seems crazy to me that this is the case, but I'm going to trust Jay Shetty here. He said, human beings today, they consume traumatic images and hear and see traumatic things more in 24 hours in one day right now, human beings, than 25 years ago a person would consume in their entire lives. Seeing that many traumatic things, images, stories, because of the frequency of things coming up on people's social media feeds and how frequently they're on the news. And it's not just, so think back to 25 years ago, and Anthony, it might be more challenging for you to remember. You were like, 6 years old. But if something happened, you might see it on the evening news, or you might read about it in the paper the next day. There wasn't that constant barrage of like, this is happening in this spot in the world and you're getting it immediately. So I took a break from watching the news. I used to get up in the morning. I don't know if you remember this, Dan, but I would get up in the morning I always got up early, 5 a.m. I would make a pot of coffee and I would sit on the couch and I would watch the news for an hour, drinking coffee with cream and sugar. And I would have like a bagel in the morning and just watching the news for an hour of just like overstimulating myself. And so I decided to get away from watching the news totally. So I went all the way in the other direction and not watch anything on the news. But the thought is, if you really want to get caught up in what's going on in the world, read about it. Like actually physically read either online or in a physical newspaper about things that are going on, because what that does is it gives you an opportunity to look at it, to read through it, to put the paper down, to sit back and reflect on it. Like, let me think about how I think about this, rather than, all right, this is coming on at 7 o'clock on the news. At 7:02, there was a dog that can juggle. And at 7:04, the problem in Ukraine. And 7:06, and you're just constantly at someone else's pace. You're consuming everything in this moment, where at least if you're reading about it, you can be like, you know what, I'm going to read about this and then I'm going to put it down and think about it for a second. So that's my strategy around consuming news that way.
And Dan, I'm curious about your intake on this, especially with social media. But like you said, Dennis, real quick, like the difference between those two is you're in control. When you're reading, it's you consume what you want to consume and you stop when you want to stop. If you're watching a feed on social media or you're watching the news, it's whatever they deem as important. If you're looking at something and it doesn't align with you, or it's bringing down your energy, your vibration, you're feeling like crap, you're like, I don't want to read this anymore. So you step away and you don't do it. But a lot of times when we're watching something on the TV, we get caught up in it and we don't even realize we're an hour in, and we just took in all this fear-based stuff that's making us feel like crap. And we leave there walking outside assuming that's what reality is. It's all dread and it's terrible and it's not going to be good, and this division and things like that. And it feels like we're powerless in that sense.
What are your thoughts on that, Dan?
So my first thought when you started talking about it is TikTok, and how on TikTok there's like a million different pages that just post terrible things, like just traumatic things happening, because it gets views. Like people want to see when it's something crazy going on that they can't even believe. But you'll see like 4 of those a day when you spend an hour on TikTok, and then all these terrible stories you're seeing that are interesting nevertheless, but they're not stuff that are going to put you in a good state of mind or make you feel good. Like it's bad stuff, but it's all the time. You're seeing, our kids are seeing it because of TikTok and Instagram and all that.
And the other thing is, you had mentioned, like, how do I break myself of that habit? I don't think you go cold turkey, which is, I'm going to be doing it, 6 hours a day now and tomorrow 0 hours. But if you're intentional and you want to cut down your usage of social media, or even just spending time with your thoughts, because I do think that that's an important thing for you to do, is to really think about how you think about something. And you know that I believe that about writing shit down, like when you think about something, write it down as well. One thing that I've heard, and I think it was Tomas, Anthony, you could correct me if I'm wrong, from Masculinity Movement, who recently changed their name to Archetypal Masculinity. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I did see that. Yeah, I was curious if that was still his page, because it was the same coloring. I was like, oh, he must switch it up. So.
Yeah, but he did like King Warrior, Magician Lover. It's a good page to follow if you don't follow it already on Instagram. But he said when he's using social media, he stands up. It's just like this little thing where if he's going to be on social media, like scrolling through, he's at least standing up or walking around. Because I know for me, like if I see, especially my youngest, on the couch and just like a zombie scrolling through, I'm like, put it down, stand up, like walk outside, get some sunlight on your face, because it does. It's like it's changing the chemistry of her brain as she's scrolling through and seeing those things. I'm like, put it down, go away from this right now, because it starts to mess kids up and changes the architecture of their brain.
And it literally is meant to keep you on there. It's meant to have you spend as much time as possible. That's the whole point of the algorithms. It's not meant to have you do it for a set amount of time and give you this, problem solution. Cool, I'm done and I'm finished. No, there is no end to social media. Social media is meant to keep you on there for hours and hours and have all of your attention consumed in that moment. And it's scary when you think about it. You don't even realize that it's happening half the time. And I notice that with myself, and I have to kind of take a break, and I have to look up from the phone and be like, holy crap, what am I doing? Do I want to be doing this right now? Is this serving me in this moment? And 9 times out of 10, it really isn't.
Building men of character, integrity, strength, compassion, and empathy through transformational mentoring, coaching, and motivational speaking is our mission here at Building Men. To work with me as a one-on-one life coach, you can find information in the show notes, or you can visit our website at buildingmen.io, where you can book a free 30-minute discovery call to help you become the strongest version of yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Now, back to the show.
It's not, and it's interesting too. And Denny, you have to let me know the exact time, but I remember when you got a phone, you were in 7th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade?
Sixth grade, I got a phone.
But no social media. And we talked to you about social media, and you said, I don't even want it. I have no interest in being on social media. You were like the only kid in the entire school that didn't have social media.
Yeah, it was until my freshman year that I finally got Snapchat, and then my sophomore year I got Instagram, just because I needed it for like football and stuff, just to communicate with other people on the team. But yeah, not having it until high school I think was really good, because like you said, it doesn't take away from you going out and doing stuff. No, but you didn't let me get social media until my freshman year. I got Snapchat, and then my sophomore year I ended up getting Instagram, which I think helped me a lot, because now middle schoolers all have it. They have everything, every social media you can think of, and it really, like you said, consumes them, and they get no time to themselves to really develop. So not having it until my brain was a little more developed and I was older and more mature was definitely really helpful for me.
That's a good point. Anthony, do you remember your experience with social media? When did it come out? Like, how old were you?
I didn't have any social media. There was no social media like that. So I got my first phone, which was like the Nextel flip phone, when I was a sophomore. And you could just text through that. That was basically it. And then all of a sudden they came out with it wasn't the iPhone, it was like the iPod. And you could, then all of a sudden, I think it was like my junior year maybe, we started to be able to like download apps and stuff on there. And I had Instagram when I was like 18, but it wasn't what it is right now. You would literally just take pictures of stuff, not yourself. It was just like, it was meant to be filters for, nature or random images, like more of a photography app than it was for like, look at me doing this cool shit, let's get some likes. That was MySpace when that would be my first one. I'm thinking about phones. But yeah, it was probably MySpace, which, God, I don't even know how old I was when that came out. But I probably had that when I was like maybe 15, 16 years old, which is the same concept.
Right.
It was the same exact thing. But I didn't have it strapped to my hip all the time, right? I had to go on a computer at home to access MySpace. So I didn't have it 24/7. Just like the news, how you were talking about, where it was like 6 o'clock news, and that was the only time you're getting it. Now it's 24 hours a day, news whenever you want it, all the time. And so I had a little bit of separation from it.
It's interesting too when we talked to Tyler LaFlock on the podcast, and he was saying, not being consumed with technology. I've been so cognizant of that, watching as I'm out in a public setting, how many people are on their phones. And here's a perfect example. I was at Jules, my middle daughter, had a softball tournament near King of Prussia, so out in Pennsylvania, and I brought Sophia with me. So my youngest was there with me, and we were hanging out all day, and it was awesome. Just being with Soph, watching Jules play. And there was this awesome park there, and it was like a parkour type park. So it was like a huge park that, then if you remember that wooden park that we used to go to, the wooden castle park when you were really little, it was like that, gigantic. But there was also like spots where you can do physical challenges, where there was pull-up bars and push-up things and like squats, and then almost like American Ninja Warrior stuff that you could go across. It was like that kind of park. It was awesome. And so me and Soph were doing a little workout together, and I'm looking around, and I told her, I said, what do you notice as we were looking around? And she's like, all the parents are on their phones. So there's 60 kids there and 40 parents, right? And all the parents are just looking down at their phone. They're not interacting with their kids in any way. It made me so sad that that's the case. So if we're trying to help the next generation of kids with disconnecting from social media and not being so reliant on their phone, and as parents, we're walking around doing that. We talk about do as I say, not as I do. Kids are watching everything that you're doing. So if you're constantly on social media all the time, they're going to be like, well, that's what we do.
They're being such hypocrites by doing that. Like, they're telling them to do it. Oh, you can't be on your phone. Like, for example, mom does it all the time, right? She sits in her phone with her mouth open, scrolling through Instagram all the time, scrolling through social media constantly, but she'll be the first one to be like, it's bad for you, kid. Like, I'll hear her talking to Genevieve or, any of her grandkids just about how social media, you got to get off it. It's no good. It's showing you these bad, things that aren't helping you. But the one thing that it relates back to this, but I heard this the other day where, like, if you had, let's say, whatever your number is to feel happy with financially, right? If you had that, you're doing the thing that you love, you have all this money, what would you be doing? Or what would change about your life? And the one thing that I thought about is I would be present in every moment. And I realized after I wrote that down and that came up for me, that that's something that I don't need the finances to do, but I feel like it allows me to have that because I'm not worried about all of that stuff that I don't have. I think that's what disconnects me from everything else going on. That's what distracts me. That's what keeps me out of looking, being introspective, is the fact that I'm like, oh, I need more. I got to get more because I have to get this, versus just being with what's happening in the moment. And it was kind of like it opened up my eyes a little bit that I can live that way no matter what, without having the money, without having that, quote unquote success or whatever I deem as that.
That's interesting. I'm sure then, because you're going into your senior year of high school, you haven't really thought about, okay, what if I had all the financial resources that I want and doing the job that I want, what would be the thing that you can do to make you happy? Or like as Anthony had just described, what might that be for you?
I don't think much would change if I did have all that money, honestly. I think you could just do everything but have more while you're doing it. Like, I don't think it should really change much about your life if you have money or you don't. Like, mindset wise, maybe, yes, you have more material things and that's great. You'll be really happy that you have all that stuff, but I don't think it'll change much about you as a person having this versus not having stuff.
And
That makes any sense.
that comes from someone who isn't like corrupted by our society's mindset, right? That's the exact example, because you're already living in alignment of what you want to do every single day versus someone who's changing who they are in order to get the thing that they want. And they're sacrificing parts of themselves in order to get that. So just by you saying that means that you're doing these things no matter what, if you had money, no matter what, if you had all this extra crap, it shouldn't make a difference. And that's the answer that everyone should have. But 90% of people wouldn't say that. They would list a bunch of things that they're not doing currently. Spend time with family. I would travel more. I would do this, right? And you can do all that stuff, right? You can do it on different scalable ways, but majority of it is we're giving these things up for something that, shouldn't change us as much.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Mine would be finding more opportunities to assist people that are less fortunate, finding more ways to volunteer, to give back. I was driving to Julie's yesterday and I passed by the guys in Trenton, and I stopped at Walmart and bought a whole bunch of underwear and t-shirts and socks. That's stuff that they said that they needed. And I pulled off to the side of the road and a guy came over and I just said, do you guys need underwear? And he goes, yes, we do. And so I just gave him a package of them. And it just, the feeling that I got from doing that was, it was an amazing feeling. And, I did a whole podcast about people driving by, not looking at the men that are standing out there. And whenever I have an opportunity to, I like to do that. And I would do that more often. If I were able to have the financial resources, I would find ways to do that in a scalable way. This is kind of changing it just a little bit, but goes off what you said. I was listening to one of Aubrey Marcus's podcasts, and they had this guy on, and he was talking about, they did this study of, there was half of these people who were running late to their whatever it was that they didn't, they did like the placebo type thing, and they told these people that you're going to be late. You're running, they told them a certain time, and then they said it was earlier, so they knew that they were going to be late in that moment. The other people, they said, you have all the time in the world, don't rush, you got to come here. And so they had a destination that they were going to. And on the way to this spot, they had someone who was injured or was hurt on the side of the road who needed help. And the people who were late to the thing that they were going to didn't stop to help. And the people who weren't late and had all the time in the world stopped to help this person. But if you look at that, like, the funny thing is about that is they're trying to do the right thing, the people who are late, to get on time, right, to their thing. And the right thing to do for both parties would be to stop and help the human being who is hurting in that moment. So they're sacrificing the better thing, in my opinion, to get to the thing because they think they're doing something. Oh, I got to be on time for this thing, right? And it was amazing to me because I don't know what I would do if I'm late to work and someone's car broke down and they clearly need help and they're waving me down. I'd be like, I can't do this right now. I'm going to be late and screw up my job. And it's like, holy shit. If you look at humanity that way, that's a terrible way to be. But a lot of us, that's kind of how we view it. I'll have more time to help people, which the goal should always be, let's serve others in some capacity, in some way, shape, or form. You have to look out for yourself as well. But it was just interesting. That too, I believe the thing that they were going to in this study was about being philanthropic and helping people. That was where they were going. Yeah, right. That's where they were going to. Yes. Yeah. Which is so interesting. So they're going somewhere to do something about helping people. And if they were running a minute late, they weren't going to do it. It didn't matter. They would truck somebody over in the street. Yep. I'll use it as an opportunity to talk about something that I talk to teachers about as well. And it's about moral development with kids, especially in middle and high school. And kids will get to this space with moral development where it's this idea of, well, first, developmentally, kids are just self-serving. They are the center of the universe all the time. And, people that are listening know many people in their lives that they think that they're the center of the universe right now, and even in their adulthood, right? But at this time, when they start, it's the fear of punishment, the fear of the disciplinary action that comes along with it. So for example, if you're going from period 1 to period 2, then, right, and you have an asshole teacher, that if you're not there on time, like say the class starts at 10 o'clock, if you're not there at 10 o'clock, you're going to get written up for detention or something, right? So the Mrs. Crabapple's like, get in the door at 10. If you're not here, you're late. No questions asked. You have detention. And you're going down the hallway and you see a kid who is just distraught, crying their eyes out. Maybe they drop their shit on the floor, or they're just like sobbing uncontrollably. Developmentally with kids, like a lot of kids will be like, I would love to help you, but I can't because I'm going to be late. When you start getting to that next stage of moral development for kids, where they're understanding that while the fear of the punishment, it sucks that they're going to get a detention, it's more important for them to be in that moment and help another human being and take the consequences. And I talk to teachers about that. Like, what we want to do is get kids to that space of moral development, and you got to put your shit aside. So if they're late because of X, Y, and Z, they did something really, really good right there. It has nothing to do with getting the detention.
No, I agree. And it's kind of sad in a way that we use that as a metric. And I get it, right? I understand why we have things on a time schedule, but it's also instilling this, that the time that they get there is more important than the good that they would do, you know, and just looking at their surroundings and seeing if people need help and being able to sacrifice that for that. I think that takes a lot of experience and wisdom to understand what your priorities are and be in touch with yourself, what feels right for you. And this brings us back to being alone in solitude, right? Getting in touch with your intuition and what feels right, what that gut feeling is. And if the more kids, the more people can get in touch with that, the more they'll know, oh, this is right for me. And this, like, I know being late is less important than me helping out this kid, because I know that gut feeling inside, this feels right in the moment. And a lot of people don't know what that is because they're distracted by everything else going on.
There's a quote. I love that you brought it back to solitude, right? I appreciate that. There's a quote that I pulled out. The author's name is May Sarton. It's loneliness is the poverty of self. Solitude is the richness of self. I really like that. And when you could be alone for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, and see your thoughts, think about your thoughts, not be overwhelmed and consumed by them, and not have that constant stimulation. That's being okay with yourself. And if you're going to be in a relationship with other people, you have to be good with being alone with yourself first, in my opinion. You have to be in that spot. Otherwise, you become more dependent on the other person, filling in the gap and meeting that need. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is looking for the other person in a relationship to make them happy. Like, I'm with this person so they can make me happy. Happiness begins and ends with you and your relationship with yourself. The other person can enrich your life, but they're not going to make you happy. And if you're going into a relationship thinking someone else is going to make you happy, that relationship is doomed. You're
already powerless in that. You literally just gave up the one thing that you have control over, and that's how you respond and how you show up and what you do for yourself. And I think that's the most important thing that we can do for ourselves, is know that we have that power to change and choose and make decisions. And when you give that to your partner, then you're expecting them to make you feel a certain way. And when they don't, then it's their fault. You're the victim. And now you just given everything up to them. It dictates how you feel based on what they give you, which it's a lose-lose. You're never going to end up on top with that.
Any thoughts about that, then?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with it. And I think that for me, there's a point in my relationship where I was like that and totally dependent on her and couldn't do anything for myself. It was like a tough time. It was right when COVID started, like you and mom were going through a divorce, like, and I really didn't think for myself. Like I couldn't do anything for myself, really. Like it was not a healthy time for me. But I think experiencing that and going through that time where I was like powerless has helped me now understand what not to do and what not to be like, if that makes any sense.
It does. So do you remember how you were able to get yourself out of that as you were going through? You had mentioned you were dependent on your girlfriend for a lot of things and you were going through a tough time. How did you get yourself out of that?
Well, something that helped a lot was going through change and experiencing a lot of different stuff. Like I slept in 13 beds in a month and a half when you were finding a house, mom was finding a house. Like just being uncomfortable with everything going on helped me, I think, grow as a person and understand who I was more.
It's so interesting. That was a really challenging time. That's That was the fall into the winter of 2020. And it was a lot of transition, a lot of transient things going on. And you and your sisters did an unbelievable job of responding in a positive way. But you took what could have potentially been a really challenging situation for someone. You were a freshman in high school at that point? Like, starting varsity as a freshman quarterback and going through all of that stuff that you were going through, and being able to come on the other side thinking, wow, me going through sleeping in all these different places and a lot of this transition, you're more resilient now than you would have been otherwise, in my opinion.
I totally agree, 100%.
And that, the way that I look at it too, Den, and this is kind of how you were able to come up on top out of all of this whole situation, is the fact that you can recognize that all of these things that happen aren't your fault necessarily, but it is your responsibility in how you move forward from there, right? You can't control what happens with your father and your mother and where you're living in that moment. You know, you're a kid right now. You're reliant on other people. But though that isn't your fault, it's your responsibility to choose what you do next. And you could either say it's their fault I'm here and it's bullshit that I got to live like this and I can't believe I'm doing this and I need this. And all you're going to do is just give up that power again and feel like the world is happening to you. And most people do that, and then they end up just playing that victim card, you know, over and over and over again.
Absolutely. And I've seen you too, Den, take that and lead other people with it as well, which is a really powerful thing, bringing it back to the kid in class who might be late. Like, I've seen you step up and help younger kids on the football team. And when you were throwing javelin for track and field, the same thing. So you're seeing how your experience then can take this challenging situation, understand your own mindset, and then pay it forward, help people that are coming after you that are going through something challenging. To me, that's one of the most powerful things. Being a father is watching you go through that mindset shift and use it to help other people and move in a positive direction.
Yeah, definitely. And like last week we had the youth camp for football, which it was like 1st to 8th graders there. And there were like 15 kids on the varsity team that just came and helped out. So I got to work with all the little kids, learn how to be quarterbacks, like just talk to them, and just kind of teach them, help them understand football a little more. It was a really cool experience to get to do that.
And watching you as a coach, you assisted me in coaching Sophia's basketball team. It was like 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade girls, or something like 4th, 5th, and 6th grade girls this winter. And at first I said, do you want to assist? And you're like, yeah. And I said, how about this? I'll coach the first couple and then I'm going to turn it over to you, or we'll coach together and then I'm going to turn the responsibility over to you. In teaching, I teach teachers gradual release of responsibility. I do, we do, you do. And that's what happened. And by the end of the season, I was the assistant coach. I did the book or whatever, and you ran the team. It was really cool to watch you coaching and helping the girls out there. To me, it was one of my favorite moments, watching you coach your little sister and her friends.
Yeah. And it's funny, in the beginning of the season, when I first started, I was scared to talk to them. Like, it was my sister and her friend.
Yes.
And I was scared to like tell them they were doing wrong on a layup. And I was like, oh, Dad, I don't want to talk. Like, you just take everything. But by the end, I was like, stop talking. I got it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
I'll take control.
When I watched you, it was
awesome.
like you had this energy about you, you know, like you were just owning the court when I was there. He had the outfit on. He's getting down on one knee to talk to him with the clipboard. I was like, who is this guy with this big dick energy walking around? Like, I mean, dude, it was fantastic. I'm like, God damn, you look good out there, man.
Oh, I felt so cool.
All right, so I don't know. Should we do a one thing? Anybody have a one thing out there for today?
I guess we could each say one, but my one thing, especially the fact that it's 4th of July, I just feel like for people out there, their one thing in this moment, if you want change and I know we've said this before, but I just want to bring it home because I think it's so important, is doing things to show up for yourself, to make yourself better. On the micro level, if your macro goal is to serve other people and build a business or, whatever it is, right? Go to this school, do these certain things, have a good relationship. The only way you can do that is if you show up for yourself. And that's simple things like waking up when you say you're going to wake up, making your bed, doing these things that you preach about to other people as you're coaching, or doing whatever it is. If you talk about nutrition and fitness, you need to work out and, consume certain foods so that you emulate what you're preaching to other people. So show up for yourself every single day, no matter what.
Dan, you have anything for the one thing?
Sure. I don't know if this has been said before because you probably told it to me, but don't let others don't let others control your life or have power over you and what you do, because power is it's more of a mindset, and nobody really has power over you other than, I guess, your parents, and if they literally do, like president or whatever. But other than that, it's just the way you look at a person, and how you act towards them, whether or not they have power over you. Like, you're your own person. You don't need to let everyone else have influence over what you do and say and act. And I guess just that you're who you are and nobody can take that away.
That's a good one. I'm going to go with the idea of expressing gratitude, and had a moment of reflection doing 2 years in, 149 episodes in, just being very grateful for this opportunity, for all of the guests that have been on the podcast, for all the people that are listening, that are giving us collectively an opportunity to share our thoughts and hopefully entertain a little bit along the way in what we're doing. And it's been an amazing journey. I just wanted to express gratitude to everyone out there who's listening. And recently we've seen a huge uptick in the number of downloads per episode. So it's growing at this rate now where I think it's going to hit that big thing. It's coming. I could absolutely feel it. So wanted to express my gratitude. So take opportunities to express your own gratitude towards people. Don't make it just on their birthday or just on an anniversary or Father's Day or Mother's Day. Give someone a call that you care about and just be like, hey, I'm thinking about you. I just wanted to let you know that I'm really grateful to have you in my life. That 2 minutes, even if you send a text message or a voice note or whatever, can make such a huge impact on someone else's life if you take those couple minutes just to express gratitude towards other people. So that's my one thing. If you're listening to this podcast, we're almost at 100 ratings. Our ratings went up to, we have a 5-star rating right now on Apple Podcasts, which is awesome. It was at 4.9 for a while. In the first three weeks that the podcast was up, somebody gave us a 2 rating, and it always kept the rating down. So we have almost 100 ratings now, and it's a 5-star rating. But what I'm going to ask, if you are listening to the podcast and you enjoyed, if you wouldn't mind rating it, we hope it would be a 5-star rating, and reviewing it and sharing it.
If you don't like it, don't rate it.
Right. Keep that shit to yourself.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Go listen to another podcast.
Right. Listen to someone else if you don't like it. So, all right. Having said that, I want to talk really quickly about this person. The person that writes reviews on things. I think it's amazing that, if I'm going to buy something on Amazon or wherever, and you go and you look at the reviews, people that write reviews for things like that, somebody does that. People go and they buy something and then they go and take the time to write a review, which is very helpful for society. And I think if I'm going to write a review, it's either going to be off the charts, exceeds my expectations, or it was so bad that I want to be this was bullshit and I want to tell someone. But for the people out there that are writing a 3-star review, that are taking their time to be it was all right. Yeah. It was, yeah.
You got to get you got to get a hobby or something then, if that's what you're taking the time to do. It's it was at or near expected. What, subpar. What the fuck? That helps no one. Nothing.
So to the satisfactory rating reviewer on Amazon, I just wanted to reach out to let you know.
Just fucking, we need that shit.
So if you're gonna rate it a 3-star, do me a favor and send me a message first, because I just want to talk to you. I want to pick your brain and ask you
on the
about
podcast.
I want to have you on. I want you as a guest, as a co-host. They'll be the mystery guest. You get 3 questions, and each one is, why did you rate it a 3-star? Well, tell me why. What else are you doing in your life? All right, so that's what we have for today. So to sum up, we had our first mystery guest in the history of the show. We did a draft, a snake draft for the 4th of July barbecue. We recognize that if you're going to do that, you can't create your own thing. The shish kebab burger thing is just.
Listen, I was just asking. I'm just asking questions. I get it. I could have just tossed veggies on it. I'm just saying kebabs are a thing. I understand. I know what to bring to the next draft now. I understand what I can't do. Right. So. All
right, so I'm going to throw this challenge out. We're going to do this again. Let's do this once a month. We'll do the 3 of us jump on once a
random.
month.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask one of you to bring something next time. Like we did a mystery guest this time and this barbecue thing on 4th of July. So who wants up next? Do you want to take it, Ant? Do you want to?
Yeah, I got it.
All right. Okay. So you're going to bring, and we don't know what it's going to be. You'll bring it on and, okay, done you down?
I love this for us.
Okay.
Yes.
I love it as well. All right. Well, this was a good time. I appreciate everyone listening to the Building Men podcast. Either one of you want to do the sponsors? All right.
Anthony, you got it.
Oh, man. Building Men podcast is brought to you by FTR Apparel to get your Building Men shirts and hats and all sorts of goodies. And Become Stronger Industries, where you can get some badass steel maces to swing around like the big dick you don't got.
2 BD references in one episode.
I know. I'm feeling all the hot dogs we're talking about. I couldn't get it out of my head.
Sausages, hot dogs, and shish kebabs.
Sausages and hot dogs on a skewer. And I don't know. I got dicks on my mind. Oh God!
All right, we're gonna close it out here, brother. Thanks for being here, son. Thanks for being here, Den. We're gonna go to the driving range today. I'm excited about that.
Oh, good for you.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. Building Men audience, go a step further than you thought you could go. We'll see you next time on Building Men.